I'm sorry, I didn't see you earlier. Great. Um, it's going to be a relatively short devotion tonight because I understand part of our program at the end, we will be able to enjoy some African African ancestry devotionals as well as part of our presentation. So we'll do a bit now, and we can look forward to a bit more later on in the program. So for devotions, we're going to start out with, and let me get my screen up. Okay, excuse me. Just a couple of selections, two selections from the Baha'i writings that I'll show on my screen or share the screen with you. And then we have a musical piece on healing, and that will be followed by a prayer from Cynthia Phillips and a prayer from Jan Sadikian. And we know that Milton is here, and so we're looking forward to a hollow read from Milton. And after that, we'll pause a few moments, and if anyone else would like to share a prayer, spoken, recited, sung, you're welcome to. And then we will go ahead and introduce our guests and start the presentation. Melinda, I'd like to ask you, if you will, if you would please read for us the quotation on the screen. Let me get that out of the way.
No light can compare with the light of justice. The establishment of order in the world and the tranquility of the nations depend upon it. Baha'u'llah. The only division that is real is this: there are heavenly men and earthly men, self-servants of humanity, in the love of the Most High, bringing harmony, unity, and teaching peace and goodwill to men. On the other hand, there are those selfish men, haters of their brethren, in whose hearts prejudice has replaced loving kindness, and whose influence breeds discord and strife. If these are God's divisions, why should we invent others? Abdul Baha.
Oh.
Thy name is my healing, oh my God. Oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. Thy name is my healing, oh my God. Oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. Thy name is my healing, oh my God. Oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. Thy name is my healing, oh my God. Oh my God, oh my God. In remembrance of thee is my remedy. Nearness to thee is my hope. Thy name is my healing, oh my God. Oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. Thy name is my healing, oh my God. Oh my God, oh my God. And love for thee is my companion. Thy mercy to me is my healing and my succor in both this world and the world to come. both this world and the world to come. Thou verily art the all-bountiful, the all-knowing, the all-wise. Thy name is my healing, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. Thy name is my healing, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. Thy name is my healing, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. Thy name is my healing, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God.
Cynthia?
Blessed is the spot and the house and the place and the city and the heart and the mountain and the refuge and the cave and the valley and the land and the sea and the island and the meadow where mention of God hath been made, and his praise glorify.
O divine providence, this assemblage is composed of thy friends who are attracted to thy beauty and are set ablaze by the fire of thy love. Turn these souls into heavenly angels. Resuscitate them through the breath of thy Holy Spirit. Grant them eloquent tongues and resolute hearts. Bestow upon them heavenly power and merciful susceptibilities. Cause them to become the promulgators of the oneness of mankind, and the cause of love and concord in the world of humanity, so that the perilous darkness of ignorant prejudice may vanish through the light of the Sun of Truth. This dreary world may become illumined. This material realm may absorb the rays of the world of spirit. These different colors may merge into one color, and the melody of praise may rise to the kingdom of thy sanctity. Verily, Thou art the omnipotent, the almighty. Abdu'l-Baha.
Oh God, make me a hollow reed, from which the pith of self has been blown, that I may become a clear channel through which thy love may flow to others. Oh God, oh my God, make me a hollow reed, from which the pith of self has been blown, that I may become a clear channel through which thy love may flow to others. Oh God, make me a hollow reed, from which the pith of self hath been blown, that I may become a clear channel through which thy love may flow to others. Oh God, make me a hollow reed, from which the pith of self has been blown, that I may become a clear channel through which thy love may flow unto others.
My God, whom I worship and adore, we the children of the earth are poor and needy. We sorely need thy wealth of love. Let thy compassion reign on us, we do beseech thee. Thou art the mighty and the powerful. Thou art the strength of love and mercy to the weak. Thou art the table of bounty set for all. O God, unite the hearts of men while yet we speak. O God, raise aloft the banner of the oneness of mankind, and cause the hate and loneliness to cease. O God, melt our hearts together and illuminate our minds, and establish for this world the most great peace. Thou art the mighty and the powerful. Thou art the strength of love and mercy to the weak. Thou art the table of bounty set for all. O God, unite the hearts of men while yet we speak. O God, who made humanity from a single mold of clay, and let us grow to fill this planet Earth. We pray thee, let humanity be one again today, and return us to the oneness of our birth. Thou art the mighty and the powerful. Thou art the strength of love and mercy to the weak. Thou art the table of bounty set for all. O God, unite the hearts of men while yet we speak. O God, unite the hearts of men while yet we speak.
Is there any remover of difficulties save God? Say praise be to God. He is God. All are his servants, and all abide by his bidding.
Thank you, friends. That was wonderful. We heard some new voices. That was great. Well, I'd like to introduce our presenters this evening. We have two tonight, two co-presenters, and many of you know them. First, let me introduce Susan Troxel. Susan is originally from New York, and she grew up in a family of socially conscious Jewish atheists. Okay, it's a lot to put together. And she's been a Baha'i since 1975. She is a retired psychiatric nurse, having worked in her field for 40 years, and particularly in the areas of drug and alcohol addiction. And she and her husband have adopted two biracial children quite a few years ago from Korea, and they have now made them grandparents, so they're very excited about that. So Susan is one of our presenters, and presenting with her this evening is Tricia Bailey. And Tricia is originally from Southern California. She's recently relocated to New York City and to Maryland for her work as an IT supervisor for an insurance company. She grew up Seventh-day Adventist, but considered herself also an atheist from high school to several years after she'd completed college. And she stumbled upon the Baha'i faith in 2007 when she attended a yoga class in a Baha'i center in Valley Stream, New York. She became a Baha'i the following year, 2008, and has lived in 5 different Baha'i communities in New York and Maryland. So she knows quite a bit about our region. She's been traveling around. So I'm going to turn it over to Tricia, who will start the presentation for us this evening. And if everyone else could stay on mute, we'd appreciate that very much. Thank you. Tricia?
I will unmute myself.
There you go.
And I'll share this and go in presentation mode. So, welcome to our evening of celebration and learning. Before I get started too far, I just want to say that Susan and I both consider ourselves novice on this topic. And what you're seeing is exploration that we both went on to get more acquainted with styles of worship that are not necessarily very commonly seen in Baha'i devotional spaces and are more characteristic of what you would see from people of recent African ancestry. And when I say that, I mean that the paradigm of my understanding of the world is that we all, regardless of what we currently our phenotype is in terms of how we look, originated from Africa. But we have folks that were part of that have more melanin, and they're currently in Africa or in the Western Hemisphere for a variety of reasons. So what we're going to be exploring is some concepts and principles and themes that are part of this kind of worship and tradition. And as you will see, there's going to be a very clear invitation that we'd like to make to you guys as we go on this journey. With that being said, let's kind of ground ourselves a little bit in terms of kind of the backdrop of this presentation, the backdrop of even our meeting today, which is the Baha'i worldview. Susan, would you please read the quote for us, please?
The fundamental purpose animating the faith of God and his religion is to safeguard the interests and promote the unity of the human race, and to foster the spirit of love and fellowship amongst men. From Baha'u'llah.
So this is going to be the premise for everything that we kind of go forward with. So at times, some of the concepts or themes may seem uncomfortable for you, but remember that the goal of what we're trying to do, and this is part of a building block of a global community, a global movement towards unifying the whole world. And with that, we have to kind of learn how to see, understand, appreciate, and have esteem for peoples that tend not to be looked at, which primarily right now we're talking about tonight, the people of the eye, people of African ancestry with melanated skins and recent history. But before we go too far, let's talk a little bit more of who this person is of Baha'u'llah. So there's some central figures within the Baha'i faith. The first one is the Bab, who's considered the gate, is a title, the gate of a new revelation, the time where peace on earth is possible because of our human development. And then there's Baha'u'llah, which is also a title meaning glory of God. And Baha'u'llah, from the Baha'i context, is the return of Jesus the Christ and the fulfillment of many prophecies in the Bible and in the Quran. And even if you go far back in Hinduism and in the Buddha, when he talks about many Buddha, that's kind of the same thing. So it's kind of renewal of that eternal covenant of God and giving us instructions for this day as a divine disposition for this day. The central premise, as the quote said, is unification of mankind. And so there are specific terminology and writings that you will find throughout the Baha'i faith that is medicine, that is to correct an ailment that we have that prevents unification of mankind. And the most violent issue right now facing the world and America in particular is racism. And so we're going to go on this journey to, and this is one of the building blocks of, in terms of appreciation of different forms of worship, of correcting that ill within our Bahá'í politic. The next person is Abdul Baha. Baha'u'llah is the founder of the Baha'i faith, the Bab, the forerunner. Abdul Baha is the son of Baha'u'llah and the inheritor of the covenant in terms of his role as a central figure and the interpreter of the Baha'i writings that were left by his father. Then we have Shoghi Effendi, who's also called a guardian, and he has enrolled as a interpreter of the Baha'i writings. And also we have the Universal House of Justice, who currently is head in Haifa, Israel, and is a body of 9 individuals currently that are elected globally through a spiritual election process, and provides guidance not only for the Baha'i world, but all world, in terms of how do we move towards a just and equitable global brotherhood and society. So those are kind of names that you'll see as we go along, and just kind of give you an understanding of the framework that kind of frames this particular gathering, and that this is all part of a bigger movement towards getting us to world peace and unity, which most people, if you talk to them, will say, we want unity. Unfortunately, we've tried many different devices, and so this is a different way of achieving that will also attack a key barrier that we have. So what's the invitation? So the invitation that we want to extend to you guys today is an invitation to explore the concept, and the concept that we are all from one people, we're united in our origin physically and also spiritually. And that, unfortunately, what modernity brought with it, in addition to technological advancement, is it cut us off from the reality of who we are. And there is commonly understood that children. I'm going to use the term, the example of adopted children. No matter how great their family that they're currently in, there is this longing that we all have to go back to our origin, to understand our roots. So one of the biggest challenges that we have to move forward together is the lack of understanding of the true reality and nature of our collective human history from the dawn of time. And so a lot of that is rooted in a lack of appreciation and a lack of seeing Blackness and in all its form. So part of this journey that we're on today is an invitation to step on that path to explore these concepts, explore these religious and spiritual traditions, first in our own private devotionals, and then as we go all the way forward in different spaces, to integrate them. So the idea is to really create a united path that allows every person in the world to be able to step on and tread the path at their own pace. So the next 3 slides talk through the inspirations that we use to kind of frame this topic for the remainder of the presentation. Susan, do you mind reading this one, please?
Sure. This is from Shoghi Effendi in The Advent of Divine Justice. Every organized community enlisted under the banner of Baha'u'llah should feel it to be its first and inescapable obligation to nurture, encourage, and safeguard every minority belonging to any faith, race, class, or nation within it.
Continue, Chris.
We encourage you to think of devotional gatherings as occasions in which, drawing upon powers inherent in the Word of God, we gather with people of different backgrounds with the aim of eliminating racism from our society. As we do so, let us ask ourselves, are we building the capacity to invite diverse people to come together, to pray and to serve side by side? Are we creating safe and loving environments for the sharing of perspectives and insights on the issue of race? Are we sincerely striving to learn from each other and to take effective action together. And this is from the National Spiritual Assembly. It was from a message that came out for one of our feasts this year in July, Feast of Kali Ma.
So this one is going to lead us into our first video presentation. The first quote is related to that. So the reason why it's so important to understand different forms of worship from the eyes of people, from their perspective, versus thinking of it as more like going to an art museum. It enriches our own worship and pattern, but it also honors their experience and culture. So I think that this quote in the bottom, particularly, that I love, from the Universal House of Justice, frame for us that the idea of a form of worship that is broader than a lot of us experience in terms of worship and devotion within the Baha'i community. And the first one is about the importance of culture. When we talk about the spiritual themes for people from African ancestry, you'll find that there are certain traditions that are similar no matter what side of the Atlantic you're on, but some of the times the root of that tradition may have been lost. But because culture is carried within somebody's soul and their recent experience, you saw that you see this kind of meld together of the old and the new, and creating something new from even a lost memory. So that, I think, is going to be a very powerful video for us to watch. But for the second quote, dancing and music, as the Universal House of Justice says, are an integral part of African culture. These forms of cultural expressions are welcomed within the Baha'i community. At Baha'i events, the believers and spiritual assemblies are encouraged to ensure that artistic performance are in harmony with the high ethical standard of the Baha'i cause and reflect the social convention and customs prevailing in a particular country. Dance is an integral part of African culture, and there is certainly room for the observance of these practices within the context of the Baha'i community. Today, because we're in America, we're going to be primarily focused on traditions that are more common to African American spiritual traditions. But as you start exploring and going out, I encourage you to look beyond America. But you have Caribbean traditions that are very similar but a little bit different. You have different tribes and cultural practices and religious practices in Africa. Within the Baha'i context, all of that has to be filtered and understood through the prism of the revelation of Baha'u'llah. But the first thing is to understand and to know from the standpoint of the people, not from the standpoint necessarily of Western thought, which is by Genesis in Enlightenment of thought in the 1800s, is designed to discredit, not see, and not honor thoughts, concepts, culture of people of African ancestry. So this is more of an exploration to go beyond what the conventional way of approaching study of culture and appreciation of another person's culture.
Trisha, can I add something there?
Sure.
I think as a white person, it's been really important for me to approach this entire realm with humility, a lot of humility, because we have much to learn. And because in America, we live in a society where the dominant culture pushes people of African descent to the margins, and white folks, and I'm talking white and Persian folks, tend to even, without realizing it, assume the central role and assume that our perspective is the one where we know and understand any given subject that comes up. It becomes extremely important for us to take on a lot of humility. In the Baha'i faith, we talk a lot about a humble posture of learning. And I think as a white person approaching these subjects, it's very important for me to consciously nurture a humble posture of learning and understand that it is from my brothers and sisters of African descent that I'm going to come to understand something about this beautiful idea of what culture represents and the magnificent roots of spirituality and music that we're going to be discussing tonight. Do you want me to go ahead and show that first video, or?
Yes, please. Yeah.
This first video clip is a very, very short one. So I lined it up just a few seconds before the woman will start to speak. So you'll hear just the end of a man speaking, but when the woman starts to speak, it's only about a 30-second clip, but the way she explains culture and its meaning in Africa is so beautiful, we wanted to show it to you.
Is Western ways, but I think the African way of dancing is very fantastic.
If you don't have culture, you are not a living human being. Culture is not only dancing. Culture means how you talk to people, how you hold your mother and your father, and everybody older than you, how you hold them, how you welcome them, how you keep your husband, how you keep your home. That's what we call culture. Dancing is only an adornment.
So one of the things that as we move forward and we're talking about this topic, you may have the question, why are we talking about Africa if we're in America? And the goal here is not to romanticize African culture and to delegitimize African American or Western Hemisphere experience. The goal is to look back so we understand where we came from and bring the best of what was into the present. So a perfect example here of what we're kind of another way of looking at the invitation is for us as a global society, as individual people, to look backwards to truly understand that what was, not just the version that we've been taught, but really understand and unearth the hidden truths that are back there, and then bring them forward as we move collectively towards a unified world. So I just wanted to make that very clear, because there is a tendency to not want to engage, particularly with the African American experience, and to engage with any other forms of Blackness other than this. And as from the Universal House of Justice for the Baha'i faith, in one aspect of thinking about the importance of the African American experience is that this is kind of the battleground for us to, and a vital stepping stone for us to unify the world, is to heal this wounds within this country. And then that will kind of be the catalyst for healing the world. So I just want to make that very clear, that we're not going back because we're going to leapfrog over the African American experience. We're going to go backwards, and then we're going to give the examples as a stepping stone through the period of slavery and into the present.
Because if we're true one, these roots are my roots, and these experiences I must share in. It's our collective history.
Correct. There are three themes that we're going to kind of explore tonight. These are not the only things that you need to know, obviously, but this is again, thinking about the path, just the first step along a long journey for us to remember who we are as spiritual beings and remember our common ancestry and our common divinity. The three we're going to talk about is this concept of spirituality as a way of life, which is a little bit different from what the Western practice of spirituality tends to be, which is a little bit more compartmentalized. And then we're looking at the spirituality of art and dance. As we go along, where there are related writings from the Baha'i faith, we're going to present those also, and there are going to be a couple of video clips along the way. So the first concept is spirituality as a way of life. I particularly love this quote from Abdul Baha around what it means to be alive and the importance of prayer. Susan, can you read that one?
There is nothing sweeter in the world of existence than prayer. Men must live in a state of prayer. The most blessed condition is the condition of prayer and supplication. Prayer is conversation with God. While man prays, he sees himself in the presence of God. However, verbal repetition of prayer does not suffice. One must live in a continual attitude of prayer. Man becomes like a stone unless he continually supplicates to God.
The next quote or passage is from a book on African religions and philosophy. And the key concept is religion permeates through all life. So it's very difficult in a traditional context. Obviously, modern life has impacted this tradition to separate religion and spirituality from this everyday life and movement. And that's a very different understanding from the compartmentalization that we're used to in Western thought and attitudes and approaches to religion. This concept of spirituality primarily dwelling on a Sunday morning or in this particular concept is just foreign to that mindset. And so you start to see even in indigenous populations around the world this honoring of the spirituality of animals and honoring of an understanding and awareness of the spiritual soup that we're all living in. So from one context, from Western eyes, there is this idea to consider these thoughts primitive. But as we can see from the quotation from Abdul Baha, there is validity in this idea of constantly being connected to a divine or spiritual source. Because clearly, if we're supposed to live in a constant state of prayer, it can't just be sitting around in a circle and actually reciting the word of God. It has to be something more meaningful and something more integrated into our fundamental way of approaching life. Now we're going to look at spirituality as of art and dance. So keeping in mind what we just read and understood about the integration of spirituality into every form of life. And the quotes that we have on the side, we're not going to read them right now, but the gist of it is that within the Baha'i context, art and sciences are thought to have spiritual roots. So surely that also includes African dance and art and spirituality. Susan, can you play the next video, please?
Traditional African dance is powerfully physical and deeply spiritual. I'd like to share with you some of the wonderful dances of my people, the people of the West African nation, Liberia. Africa is a vast continent of some 11.7 million square miles. It has more than 50 independent countries, a population of over 400 million people who speak almost 1,000 different languages. Most Africans south of the Sahara Desert can be described as black people, but their racial characteristics are extremely varied. Africa has the tallest and leanest people in the world, and some of the smallest too. Africans may be among the world's richest. Many are the world's poorest. There are the light-skinned Berbers of North Africa. There are Asian Africans and European Africans who have lived on the continent for generations. So there are few generalizations that can be made about Africa. Yet, almost without exception, Africans are extremely religious people, practicing Islam, Christianity, and traditional religions with unsurpassed fervor. Music and dance occupy a very special significance in the lives of African people. Long before the spread of Islam and Christianity, long before Europeans colonized the continent, traditional African religion demanded that Africans dance. Everywhere on the African continent, drums are heard, and everywhere, Africans move in rhythmic oneness with the drum. Dance is first and foremost much more than mere recreation and entertainment. Dance is spiritual. It is a matter of recognizing and affirming the presence of our Creator in our lives. In the oral tradition, music, dance, and storytelling through songs are not separated, but are generally a unified expression. These traditional stories preserve the cultural values of our society, which is obsessed with honoring our ancestors and showing respect to our elders.
So the first time I saw that, I thought of the Baha'i reflection gathering. So this idea that we're telling stories of our recent history and our accomplishments and expressing it through various forms of art, including music. The idea that that space, which is a little bit more administrative, is also a spiritual space. So I kind of think of, I read this article years ago. I think it was the Harvard Business Review, I'm not quite remembering, about the greatest invention in the history of civilization. And it was the campfire chat, because that's where a community gets to consolidate and share its learnings and gets to reaffirm its values and gets to reaffirm its history. And so within that context, you start seeing that these dances are about a spiritual tradition, but also an instructive piece of community life. And they can't be separated into discrete pockets. It would be, on one layer, it is good to appreciate it for its artistic value, but to get a deeper understanding is to connect it to the spiritual value. I'm going to continue sharing my screen now. So the next thing we're going to explore here is spirituality of art and dance in the time of slavery. Susan, do you mind reading that one, please?
It's better if I myself. Black people did not assume the Christianity of their oppressors. The Christianity that Black people assumed was the Christianity that they created out of the interaction with the Christianity that was presented to them and the Christianity that they re-evaluated and reconfigured to fit their needs.
So what you see, both in terms of what happened with colonization in Africa, and also with folks in the Western Hemisphere at different points, especially in time of slavery, is a kind of synergy or synthesis between what we already had with something new that we're presented. So there is a sense of agency, there is a sense of creativity, and a sense of integration that is connected to but different than the Christian or the Muslim tradition. Wherever you have these kind of intersection, there's always a cross mingling and not a wholesale forgetting of where we were before and who we are right now. Do you mind playing that video, Susan? Did I miss a video? I thought there was another one. Sorry.
You're going to have to unshare your screen for me to share.
Oh, sorry. Sorry.
It's the one that you want now, right?
Yes, please.
The spirituality of art and dance. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Coming up.
The majority of Africans who arrived on American shores went to their graves believing in, if not practicing, some form of African religion. But resistance to the Christian message began to soften as more Black people were born on American soil. In the 1750s, white Baptist and Methodist preachers traveled through the South and parts of New England. They taught Christian brotherhood and spiritual equality, and delivered their sermons in a fiery evangelical style that appealed to poor whites and enslaved Black people.
What evangelical religion did was give Blacks the right to affirm their bodies, because it said that I exist. Society said you're not even fully human. But in evangelical Christianity, not only am I human, I can shout, I can feel, my body mattered, my hands mattered, my ideas mattered. I felt it. It gave them a religion of feeling. It gave them a religion of physical identification that I think made it more meaningful. It wasn't just doctrine, creeds that you believed in. It was what you felt.
The combination of message and presentation was unlike anything that had come before. Thousands flocked to hear the gospel in what became known as the Great Awakening. For Black people in North America, the awakening opened a door through which they first took Jesus as their own, and through which they let him take them. Over generations, it would become a powerful and lasting bond.
There was something in the message of Christianity. There was something in the religion of the oppressors that they saw that was deeper than even the oppressors' presentation of that. I mean, for example, the slaves had this saying that there must be another Bible within that Bible.
Black people did not assume the Christianity of their oppressors. The Christianity that Black people assumed was a Christianity that they created out of the interaction with the Christianity that was presented to them, and the Christianity that they re-evaluated and reconfigured to fit their needs.
Oh, that so sweet, oh, that so sweet. Charleston, South Carolina. In 1815, the enslaved black population outnumbered the free white population by more than 2 to 1. On Sunday mornings, black people listened quietly to pro-slavery sermons in the sanctuaries of the city's white churches. On the surface, the Africans seemed to accept these preachments without open confrontation. But on weeknights and Sunday evenings, it was a different story. During slavery, secret meetings served as a place where black women and men could worship God in the way that they saw fit. Their songs recalled stories from the Bible, triumphs of the weak over the mighty. Ceremonially, they traveled through time, casting themselves as God's chosen people of centuries past. At the heart of this experience was the ring shout, the sacred ritual in which worshipers shift their feet and move their bodies in a circle to symbolize the connection between past, present, and future. Over time, the meeting places came to be known as praise houses. The praise house family functioned as the secret religious societies had in Africa. Members were initiated in after months of reporting their dreams and going into the woods at night to seek God. It was a bond that was as strong as the bonds of one's birth family.
These folk worked from sunup to sundown and went to the prayer house and would stay way up into the night hours. It had to be valuable, not just as a time of release, but as a time of community, as a time of being with people who know your everyday burdens and struggles and woes, as a time of being with folk who know what it means to know things ought not be as they are. But this is what we got to deal with, and things are going to change, but we just have to go through this.
During slavery, the praise house was a place in which black people could nurture their faith that a better day was coming. After slavery, the praise house remained at the center of people's lives through the 1960s.
When I was a little girl, I used to walk to the praise house with my grandmother. When we get there, they start the service, and some of the elders, they lead a hymn, and the ladies, they'll sing spirituals.
I think singing is the key. That opened the heavenly door. And when they start singing, then it looked like everything would open up. Where it was dark, it would become light.
There's so many dimensions of the spirituals that you have to talk about. And some songs lean more towards hope, some lean more towards despair, but those dual poles are always there, and it's one of the amazing things about the songs.
Right. So as you can see, there is a uniqueness to that experience, but also a continuity with what was before in terms of the spirituality of movement, in terms of using movement as storytelling. And the thing that jumped out at me the first time was this idea that the very movement and the synchronicity between all the participants is that the greatest form of unity, a manifestation of unity in movement that we aspire to. So why wouldn't we just be unity of thought and unity of individual action? Why can't it also be unity of music? So there is a sense of reaffirming that connectivity to each person that is, I find very uplifting. And I would also say that given this tradition of movement and spirituality being connected, and even movement as an act of resilience and even defiance at times, it has to be okay within our context of the Baha'i world for that to happen. Because to do otherwise is to put a people who have relied on certain expressions of spirituality into a straitjacket. So we're actually kind of not integrating this space, but we're actually asking for assimilation. And so with this journey that we're on, in terms of first understanding these practices and these ideas and the role that they played in terms of the spiritual survival of a people and spiritual growth of a people, then we can start practicing with ourselves, freeing ourselves up. Because I don't know if you've ever seen babies, when they're born and they hear music, they move, right? So we have to actually learn to not move. It is actually against our natural nature not to move to music and rhythm and not to have community. And I feel like some of the things that we're learning or trying to learn within the Baha'i community about unity of thought and action and a spiritual way of life is actually reclaiming from the past some things that modernity took away from us. And so when we are able to really look at and understand what modernity said was discarded and what not necessary. So we're talking about the indigenous people of the world, we're talking about Black people of the world. We can take from them and learn the best and bring it forward. And I think that is what, when I look at the Baha'i writings asking us to do, is to see what is not seen, to understand and to reclaim and to use that to move us forward together. Because what the genesis of the modern world started with a great spiritual sin, right? And so we're all having to unpack and heal together from that. And I think when we really understand and really start appreciating and integrating for ourselves these different forms of worship, we become more integrated and are better able to create wholesome space that is truly welcoming of many. I can tell you from my Baha'i community, this exploration has also inspired conversation about, so what about our Asian friends? What are their spiritual traditions? So it's not that we're elevating Blackness or Black forms of worship just because. It's almost even an instrument for the greater good, right? Because you're forcing yourself to see what's not seen, then you actually broaden your vision so you can see actually all of humanity. It's almost like corrective lenses that we actually have to have put on us to really see the truth of our spiritual reality.
So if we have a devotional gathering to weave bonds of love and fellowship, and it's clear that everyone is expected to sit still with their hands together, then certainly that's going to be an environment that a lot of people are not going to feel comfortable and welcomed at. So that's something really important for us to think about as we're reaching out to the wider community to welcome everyone to the circle of unity that Baha'u'llah has offered to us.
And just to add on to that point, that the first step, so one of our community members shared something where she has devotional, and one of her family members, actually was not a Baha'i, asked, hey, can I share this prayer from this other spiritual tradition here? And she's like, yeah. And she's like, I thought I made it very clear this was an open and welcoming space. But then when you start looking back at the programs, you start looking back at what you actually do in this space, you actually created a format that everyone felt like they had to conform to. You never included all these other perspectives, right? And so it's the same thing. And I think the only way I've learned how to try and fix that within myself is actually forcing myself in my own private chamber when I am praying to go outside just the Baha'i faith and look at Islam and look at Christianity and look at the Bhagavad Gita. Like, you always have to, because we're told this is an eternal covenant. It didn't start with the Baha'i faith. And so we need to respect and honor all the spiritual traditions and find the grain of truth through all of them. And the only way we can actually demonstrate that in public, in action, is if we're doing it in private, right? So I think that that's kind of my hope. If I had one hope for this time we're together, is that each person is inspired to try these things out themselves. It's not letting go of how you're currently worshiping, but also just adding to something else. That when you're in a more public space, you can create that welcoming and nurturing environment that all spiritual traditions feel welcome to participate in. We're almost at our last slide. I think we're at our last slide, actually, or close to it. And we're doing pretty decent with time. Okay, so this one is a little bit more contemporary in terms of African-American spiritual tradition. The idea here is that despite the extreme restrictions and dehumanizing controls, the spirituals from African Americans convey something different. And it created a coded message to guide the way for many people to freedom. And so you see that appropriation of the gospel and the stories of the Bible, and using it in a very utilitarian context for survival.
The words we're saying have a double meaning. So anytime you hear anything about traveling shoes or chariots or wheels, somebody's getting ready to run. And so you take a Negro spiritual. Swing low, sweet chariot, coming for to carry me home. Swing low, sweet chariot, coming for to carry me home. That chariot is movement. That chariot is swinging low, picking you up, putting you on that Underground Railroad, taking you somewhere to freedom. So when we sing those songs, it's like, something's getting ready to happen. So I looked over Jordan, and what did I see? Jordan, that was metaphoric for the Ohio River. A band of angels coming after me. Those conductors coming to help you, coming forth to carry me home. So they had all kind of little messages. And the slave master would hear us singing and say, oh, don't they sound pretty happy tonight? Next day, 2 or 3 people gone because we put that message out. We talked about wade in the water, wade in the water, children, wade. Wade, wade, wade in the water, 'cause God's gonna trouble the water. So we stepped in that water because the dogs can't pick up your scent. We had all these songs that said it's time to move, it's time to go by the waterway, it's time to follow the North Star, it's time to start looking, it's time to start traveling, it's time to start getting ready to cross over that Jordan into freedom. Still away to Jesus. Oh, Lord, they're going on to heaven. No. Still away home. I ain't got long to stay here. So we still away to Jesus. We still away to freedom. But it sounds like we're just talking about a life in the hereafter, but we're talking about a life in the here and now.
The last concept that we kind of alluded to earlier was this idea of a spiritual relationship with ancestors, that the spiritual relationship doesn't end with death. And this is very similar with the Baha'i concept of praying for the dead. and them praying for us. And it's also very similar to what you see in many different cultures, where there are things that are physically done to remember and to pay homage to the ancestry. In saying that, and with everything that we presented tonight, the goal here is not to say that this is the way that the Baha'i faith needs to be practiced. The goal here is to educate ourselves and pick up the things that are in harmony with the Baha'i teachings, and integrate them and create a space. And even more important, like one of the things I really loved when I first became a Baha'i was this idea that the faith is very loving to newcomers in terms of allowing the individual to the space and the privacy to evolve. So you see how the guidance we get from our Universal House of Justice in terms of which spiritual laws are applicable and when. And it's all geared towards what is the people that where they are when you find them. And we know where they need to go, but we are not going to shame and denigrate them for where they are. We are able to love and accept them where they are, but also help them along in a loving way to the vision of world unity and harmony and practices that the Baha'i faith gives us. So this is another idea of when we hear folks saying libations, when we hear saying calling on the ancestors, is it a practice that translates the same way for every person in the diaspora? No. Is it by diaspora, I mean people of African tradition who are dispersed around the world. Are there things in harmony with the Baha'i teachings? Absolutely. Are there things that some folks are way of doing it that is not in harmony with the Baha'i tradition? Absolutely. But the idea is to understand that this is not necessarily a primitive practice. There is a spiritual truth that is being represented by this practice, a spiritual truth that the Baha'i faith clarifies for us of what that is, which is that life doesn't end with death, and that there's spiritual communion that's possible between the dead and the living, right? So this is another idea. So those three themes that we looked at, which is the idea that there is spirituality is a way of life. So it's integrated into everything that we do. And there's spirituality related to arts and dance in and of themselves. And then there's a spirituality of maintaining that connection in a relationship with those who have passed. I think those are three things that from a Western look at those practices through the lens of anti-Blackness that we inherited in from the Enlightenment period in the 1800s, you come away with a different understanding, a different appreciation, and even I would say in the revulsion for those things. When we look from another perspective, then you can understand the spiritual tool, the utility of these practices. And then you can understand what the point of connection they are with the teachings of the Baha'i faith. That's all I had to say. Susan, did you have anything else in closing?
Just that this practice of calling on the ancestors is such a beautiful practice, which many of us in this dominant culture have never witnessed. But from my experience, having been honored to be in some gatherings which are Baha'i sponsored, but largely people of African descent, and having seen the program begin with a time of calling on the ancestors and just calling out the names of ancestors to ask for their blessing for the gathering is such a beautiful thing. And I think it can just enrich all of us so greatly. So the more we can learn about these beautiful traditions and this rich culture, and the more we can incorporate it as we develop this spirituality of the whole world, we will all just become so much more enriched.
So we promised you some music and some singing, so we're going to do that.
Great, I forgot to share my screen. Coming right up.
Y'all ready? Y'all ready? Y'all ready?
Yeah, know it.
Oh, Lord, have mercy, have mercy. Here we go. I've got to keep on working. Keep on working. For the kingdom of God. For the kingdom of God. Keep on striving. Keep on striving. Though the road gets hard. Though the road gets hard. Keep my hands in God's hands. I've got to hold on. I've got to hold on. Keep on toiling till I reach my goal. Till I reach my goal. It's the dawn of a new day. Dawn of a new day. For the children of God. For the children of God. One for one shepherd. That's the hope of the Son. Jesus Christ the Son. He prayed for the kingdom. For the kingdom. For the kingdom to come. For the kingdom to come. Keep on fighting. 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 Till the victory's won. Till the victory's won. I've got to keep on working. Keep on working. For the kingdom of God. For the kingdom of God. Keep on striving. Though the road gets hard. Though the road gets hard. Keep my hands in God's hands. Keep my hands. Keep my hands in God's hands. Keep my hands. Keep my hands in God's hands. Keep my hands. Keep my hands in God's hands. Keep my hands. Keep my hands in God's hands. I've got to hold on. I've got to hold on. Keep on toiling. Come on. Yeah. On toiling. Keep on toiling. Keep on toiling. Keep on working. Keep on working. Keep on working. Keep on working. Keep on believing. Keep on believing. Keep on believing. Keep on believing. Keep on teaching. Keep on teaching. Keep on teaching. Keep on teaching. Keep on toiling. Keep on toiling. Till I reach my goal. Till I reach my yeah, buddy.
Tina, and this is for singing or prayer.
Okay, and it's okay. I can't do it. Okay, I have to first say, because I'm here with family, that my name is actually pronounced Tamara.
Okay, Tamara.
And I'm gonna sing this song. Lo, angelic hosts, triumphant, now surround on every side, and in in heavenly strains, God spreading peace and love that will abide. Hark, the heavenly concourse singing joyous praises to the King. Lift your voices now and join them, and love's benediction sing. And love's benediction sing. May God's love now hover over us as a dove with outstretched wings, while his peace that flows around us to each heart sweet comfort brings. May we now receive his Spirit and its radiance shed afar, now and here in love abiding in the realms of Elava.
Thank you, Tamara. That was beautiful. Did I say it right that time? No, Tamara. Tamara, okay. Tamara, I'm glad I asked. Okay, Christine, you're next, and then Kay Felix will be after you.
Thank you. Aloha, dear friends.
Aloha.
And I just wanted to share this. I was blessed to live in West Africa for many years. In fact, the early years of my Baha'i life. And I lived for 8 years in Benin in West Africa. And this was a song. This is one of the communities in the village often set prayers and other things to music. And then we learned them bit by bit. This was, it's a remover of difficulties, and it can be sung in a mournful way. But some of my most wonderful memories is of it being sung and actually danced to, and with a different kind of rhythm. So it was just I apologize, it's in the Mina language. I don't have all of the pronunciation exactly correct, but hopefully you'll recognize God is Mau in Mina, so you'll recognize some of it. Mi linha na nuvole, hotuno na mesa umawe. Mi linha na nuvole, hotuno na mesa umawe. Mia sanyoroko jora mawe, mia sanyoroko joro mawe. Ileke imawe. Mio play Asianto, Enuji Edo, Ili Joro.
That was beautiful. Could you sing that one more time, please? Okay. That's a personal ask.
Okay, thank you.
I'm going to use a little privilege tonight. That was just the melody on that and the words. It was just, wow.
Okay.
Beautiful.
Mi linha na nuvole, hotuno na mesa umawe. Mi linha na nuvole, hotuno na mesa umawe. Mio sogno d'occo giorno mawe, mio sogno d'occo giorno mawe. Il che mawe, il che mawe. Mio play e shanto, e nuci e do, il giorno. Abule.
Thank you. Okay, whenever you're ready.
Yeah, thank you so very much. I'm going to sing a song that I learned in church. I grew up Catholic. And that's one of my favorite songs. God's Spirit is deep in my heart. He has called me and set me apart. This is what I have to do, what I have to do. He sent me to give the good news to the poor, tell prisoners that they are prisoners no more, tell blind people that they can see, and set the downtrodden free, and go tell everyone the news that the kingdom of God has come, and go tell everyone the news that the kingdom has come. Just as the Father sent me, so I'm sending you out to be my witnesses throughout the world, the whole of the world. He sent me to give the good news to the poor, tell prisoners that they are prisoners no more, tell blind people that they can see, and set the downtrodden free, and go tell everyone the news that the kingdom of God has come, and go tell everyone the news that the kingdom has come. Don't worry what you have to say. Don't worry, because on that day, God's Spirit will speak in your heart, will speak in your heart. He sent me to give the good news to the poor, tell prisoners that they are prisoners no more, tell blind people that they can see, and set the downtrodden free, and go tell everyone the news that the kingdom of God has come, and go tell everyone the news that God's kingdom has come.
That was so sweet and so delightful, Kay. I would really like the lyrics to that. If you're ever of the mind to type them up in an email, I would ask. That's a lovely song. That was just so lovely and sweet. Thank you. Jerry, and then it looks like we're closing with Ormond and Milton, who are going to do a call-in response. So Jerry?
Okay, I'm going share the rhythm and call, two of the calls from a a dance. It's actually what people call masquerade, where there's a masked dancer. And I'm not exactly sure which specific culture in West Africa originated the dance, but it's done in several cultures. The rhythm and the dance is called kakilambe. I was honored to dance the masked figure as well as the dance, and more recently I learned to drum it. So here we go. Mama baby, oh Allah, hey baby, oh, hey baby, oh Allah, hey baby, oh yeah, Mama baby, oh Lali Kamara, Mama baby, oh Allah, hey baby, oh. Hey baby, oh Allah. Hey baby, oh yeah. Kakilambe kekumbe, my po mama, my po kakilambe kekumbe, my po mama, my po kakilambe kekumbe.
Awesome. Awesome.
Woo!
That was incredible. Thank you so much. Talk about talent in the house. That was incredible, Jerry. It was just, you brought us home, really home with that. That was just amazing. What a delight. Just before Milton and Ormond come on, I noticed that Jean has her hand raised. Jean, did you want to share anything? You're on mute. I can't hear you. Can you unmute yourself?
Here I am.
There you go.
Yeah. I didn't know how to put myself in the queue, but this made me think about my mother, and I would like to request if I can just sing one verse of her favorite song. She died in 2012 and was in hospice, and so as she was passing away, I sang her favorite hymn.
Well, if you'd like to sing more than one verse, please do.
I think I only remember one verse.
Okay.
But it's our precious Lord. Precious Lord, take my hand, lead me on, let me stand. I am tired, I am weak, I am worn. Through the storm, through the night. Lead me on to the light. Precious Lord, take my hand and lead me home.
Thank you, Jean.
Thank
That
you for
took,
letting me do that.
oh, absolutely. That took me back to church, okay?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, it did. Yes, it did.
Yep,
Thank you
yep.
so much. That brought tears to my eyes, honestly. It
Oh,
really
thank
did.
you.
Thank
Okay.
you for sharing that.
Okay.
Okay, Milton, Ormond.
If I may, first of all, I want to thank Tricia and Susan for this wonderful, this whole idea of talking about worshiping. I mean, it's so necessary in this day and age. And thank you all for sharing your wonderful knowledge and love and insight. And before Milton and I give this little snippet of "Oh Lord, my God," I do want to just I'd be remiss if I didn't talk about briefly the Baha'i Black Men's Gathering. In 1987, this gathering came into being, and what developed out of it was what was something known as the Black Men's Gathering style devotionals, or AKA BMG style devotionals. And this, like, for 25 years, third week of July, we would gather daily in concentric circles, and organically we'd offer prayers, singing songs. Musicians would play their instruments in a state of prayer. And yes, the drums were very much a part of this collective. And of course, we were in a state of discovery within the context of Baha'u'llah, calling people of African descent the people of the eye of mankind. So we would deepen after all, like, hours of prayer. We would come back to our communities and do something, give some type of service. So many of us came back to our local communities and started doing local devotional gatherings. Some of you may have heard of something called the Hush Harbor Devotional Gathering that was going on in New York City. I personally, along with Milton, we did something in Newark, New Jersey called the New Ark Devotional Gathering. So these kinds of gatherings and people of all races, backgrounds, and so forth would come together and show their love and bring their hearts. So the chant that Milton and I are going to do is simply "Oh Lord, my God." It's a prayer in the Bahá'í writings, but that prayer is the staple anthem of the Baha'i Black Men's Gathering, and we would start our mornings out every day at those gatherings with that chant. O Lord, my God.
O Lord, my God.
Open thou the door.
Open thou the door.
Provide the means.
Provide the means.
Make safe the path.
Make safe the path.
And guide our way.
And guide our way.
For verily thou art.
For verily thou art.
The help in peril.
The help in peril.
Self-subsisting.
The self-subsisting.
Ya Baha'u'llah.
Ya Baha'u'llah.
O Lord, my God.
O Lord, my God.
Open thou the door.
Open thou the door.
Provide the means.
Provide the means.
Make safe the path.
Make safe the path.
And guide our way.
And guide our way.
For verily thou art.
For verily thou art.
The help in peril.
The help in peril.
The self-subsisting.
The self-subsisting.
Ya Bahá'u'lláh.
Ya Bahá'u'lláh.
Ya Bahá'u'lláh.
Ya Bahá'u'lláh.
Yes, that doesn't need to stop.
Seriously.
Oh my goodness. Oh, we can do a whole round of that again. Everything,
Oh,
everybody.
Lord, my God.
Oh, Lord, my God.
Open thou the door.
Open thou the door.
No, everybody don't do it at once off mute. It sounds horrible.
Make safe the path.
Make safe the path.
And guide our way.
Guide our way.
For verily thou art.
For verily thou art.
The help in peril.
The help in peril.
The self-subsisting.
The self-subsisting.
Ya Bahá'u'lláh.
Ya Bahá'u'lláh. Like one of my favorites. So.
Okay. Trisha and Milton got it going on. Okay, friends, it's almost 9:30, and we're still going to do questions and, you know, all of that. But I do want to make a couple of brief announcements because I know some people do have to leave at 9:30. You know, they have other things going on. And I do want to share some of the comments in the chat room that have come through. Since we started, everyone may not have had a chance to look at those or could look at them. Our next presentation is on the 24th of October, and it fits in very nicely. It's going to flow very nicely from this evening's. I don't know that we're going to have all this music unless you all come back, but it's going to be, the title of it is called Creating a Refuge from Racism in the Baha'i Community. And that's going to be presented by Carol Mansour. She's down in the Tennessee area. And her basic premise is that people of African descent stay in or go back to church because that is the only collective space where they are free from outright racist attitudes, practices, and micro and macro aggressions, and where they can truly be at home. She will discuss what is needed to attract and sustain peoples of African descent in the Baha'i community, which requires nothing less than completely welcoming both the physical and cultural diversity in our communities. So, and the devotional attitude and the devotional welcomeness or openness to all practices and cultures is very, very important in our creating a new culture in the world, a new spiritual culture that's welcoming of all. So Carol's going to delve into that, but that won't be the only aspect she'll be talking about. So I hope you can join us. Secondly, many of you here, I'm so glad to see there are so many new faces this evening. And that means you're not on my email list, probably. So I'd like you to be on my email list. I'll put my email in the link, and you can email me offline or give me your email address if you'd like to be on our list about upcoming presentations to receive these invitations directly. Our sessions are open to everyone all the time. And we encourage you to share them with anyone that you think might be interested in participating and attending. So I would personally like to thank Tricia and Susan for the presentation they did together. It was very, very, very enriching, very well thought, very thoughtful, very well thought out and very thoughtful. and presented with a great deal of grace and intention, a lot of intention. It was just wonderful. So on behalf of the Baha'is of Wacomico County, I'd like to extend that thank to you. And let me share a few of the comments in the chat room. Again, for folks that don't get to go there